I used to think I knew my wife, Mara. 12 years of marriage builds that illusion, layers of routine and intimacy stitched into everyday life. We had our little rituals: Sunday pancakes, Friday wine nights, weekend hikes when the weather was nice. She was the steady one, the planner, while I floated in and out with work stress and half-baked attempts to be spontaneous. Somehow, it worked. Her birthday this year was a big one, her 35th, and I went all out. Booked a private room at her favorite Italian place, gathered close friends, even bought her the expensive bracelet she'd been admiring online. Everyone smiled, laughed, toasted to her. She glowed that night. And I thought maybe, just maybe, we were on the verge of something beautiful again. But 3 days later, I learned the truth. It started with a misplaced phone. Hers, left on the kitchen counter while she went upstairs to take a shower. A message popped up: "Tell him you're going to yoga. I'll meet you at the lake house." The name attached was Jared. Jared, as in my buddy Jared, the husband of Mara's closest friend, Lila. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I might pass out. I told myself it couldn't mean what I feared. People meet up platonically. Maybe it was something innocent. But doubt had already taken root, and the more I tried to reason it away, the more my gut twisted. That evening, while she went to yoga, I followed. The lake house wasn't far, maybe a 20-minute drive into the wooded edge of town. We'd spent weekends there before with Jared and Lila. Fishing, grilling, laughing on the dock. I parked far enough away not to be seen and walked through the trees like some ghost haunting his own life. Her car was already there, tucked behind Jared's. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to know. But I crept up to the side window anyway. What I saw didn't leave room for interpretation. They were on the couch, wrapped in each other like teenagers who couldn't keep their hands to themselves. Her laugh, muffled and breathless. His hands greedy and familiar. My wife, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months, maybe longer. She looked alive in his arms. She looked free. I backed away before I could throw up. Driving home, I felt hollow. There was no rage. Not yet. Just this deafening silence inside my head. Like someone had yanked out the wiring that made me human and left behind a shell. When Mara got home later that night, she was glowing again. Smelled like lake water and cheap cologne. "Class was amazing," she said, kissing my cheek like she hadn't just torn my world in two. "I might go again on Thursday." I nodded. Said nothing. I didn't confront her, not that night, not the next. I needed to understand first. I needed to know how long this had been going on, what else had been a lie. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the role of oblivious husband while I pieced together the timeline. Phone records, gaps in her schedule, subtle shifts in her behavior, all the puzzle pieces started fitting. The affair had started shortly after her last birthday, right around the time Lila had left town for a family emergency. I remembered Jared being around a lot then. Helping Mara with the garden, fixing the deck. Lies. All of it. The final straw came when I saw the birthday photos. Jared was in almost every shot, hovering near her, laughing too easily, touching her shoulder a little too long. And I saw it now, the way she leaned into him, the way her eyes always found his in the crowd. She had started celebrating her birthday with him long before the dinner I threw. And now, I had to decide what came next. I didn't sleep much in the days that followed. I'd lie in bed next to her, listening to the slow rhythm of her breathing, feeling like a guest in my own life. Every whispered "I love you" that passed her lips sounded like it belonged to someone else, someone who hadn't watched her betray everything we built. But I still hadn't said a word. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was pride. Maybe I just needed to see how far she would take it. I waited for a day she'd go back to the lake house. I had a spare key. Jared's place wasn't technically in use during the week, and I knew he kept a backup security cam set up on a motion sensor. It was easy to get access. I'd helped install the system myself years ago. She left that Thursday morning in her usual yoga attire, kissed me goodbye, and promised to pick up groceries on the way home. I followed her again. Parked farther back this time, so she wouldn't hear my engine. She didn't even check if she was being followed. That hurt more than I expected. It meant she trusted that I would never suspect her. That I would never see her like this. But I did. And I watched again. This time, I waited. Waited until their laughter died down. Until they moved from the living room to the bedroom. Until I could no longer pretend this was just a nightmare I hadn't woken from. Then, I went home. Not to cry. Not to scream. But to pack. I took only what I needed: clothes, work gear, the box of photos I still cared about. Left my ring on the nightstand and a note on the kitchen table. I saw everything. You don't have to lie anymore. I turned off my phone. Booked a room at a hotel on the outskirts of town. I needed space to breathe, to think. To remember who I was before I became the man betrayed. It wasn't until 2 days later that she found me. She showed up at the hotel, red-eyed and shaking, with mascara smudged like a storm had passed through her soul. "How long have you known?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. 2 weeks, I said flatly. She sank into the lobby chair like her legs couldn't hold her up anymore. "I never meant for it to happen like this." I laughed. "I couldn't help it." "You mean you didn't plan to get caught?" She looked down, ashamed. For once, there were no excuses. No gaslighting. Just quiet. "I was lonely," she said finally. "And Jared, he made me feel seen. Wanted." "And I didn't?" I asked, keeping my voice low. "You were there, but not with me. We stopped trying. Both of us." I didn't argue. She wasn't wrong. But that didn't justify what she did. "You could have told me you were unhappy. We could have gone to therapy. We could have done something." "I know," she said, wiping her face. "I was a coward." We sat in silence for a long time. She didn't ask me to come home. I didn't ask if she still loved him. Everything felt already decided. "I'm going to file," I said finally. "You don't need to be part of that process. I'll take care of it." She nodded. "I'll move out of the house. You can keep it." "I don't want it anymore," she said. "It's full of ghosts." I left her there, crumpled in the hotel lobby, a mirror of the way I'd felt the night I first saw her with him. And in that strange symmetry, I found a sliver of closure. It's been 3 months since then. The divorce is moving along, and I've found an apartment downtown. It's small. Quiet. I've started running again, something I hadn't done in years. My legs ache, my chest burns, but it reminds me I'm still alive. Mara sends me emails, sometimes updates, small apologies, echoes of a life we once had. I don't always read them. I don't hate her, not really. But I don't miss her either. What I mourn is the version of us that never had the chance to fight for survival. And Jared? He's already separated from Lila. Word around town is he's not as charming when there's no one else to steal from. As for me, I'm still learning how to live with the silence. Some days, it feels like peace. Other days, like punishment. But at least now, it's my silence. And that, in some twisted way, feels like freedom.